Hello and welcome to the Engerati studio. We're live at European Utility Week. I'm Rose and I'm joined now by Erik Hedstrom, Head of Business Development Utilities at Ericsson.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining me, Erik. I wanted to ask you a bit more about your new white paper, which you based on a study of hundreds of DSOs and energy retailers, and in which you've identified frontrunners. And I just wondered if you could explain a bit more about the characteristics of these frontrunners.
Yeah, so maybe I'll start a little bit about why we're doing it and what's in it. I mean, for us, we're very happy to be back at European Utility Week. It's been a very busy year for us. I think we have taken a lot of steps forward, and I hope our customers can also see our increased focus on the industry as such. And we always look for and see how we can engage in new ways with our customers. It always starts with the customers, the utilities for us. So we have a lot of different tracks we're running, trying to find new collaborative ways of working with them. And again, as it starts with their situation, that's also where it starts for us. So why we ventured into doing this quite detailed research on something we call the frontrunners is that we wanted to really see and talk to our customers about the strategic level, what is happening in the industry and what's going on in there. I think just walking around here at European Utility Week, you hear a lot, the keywords for me are a lot about change, transition, disruption, transformation. And that's all good, but it's the normal for us and for our customers. So what we saw is that, despite all these changes that are going on, and by all means it's a lot of things happening in the industry, but we saw that there's still players or utilities that thrive and are able to lead in this really transformative environment. So that made us a bit curious and interested, and we set out doing a quite detailed quantitative research around seeing across the US or North America, US and Canada, Europe and Australia, Southeast Asia, to see who are the leaders in this industry, and really look at it from a pure sort of fact level. Who are really the leaders? And that was very, very interesting. So we were able to identify, we scanned or researched more than 150 DSOs in these markets and over 1,000 energy retailers. So that's the fact base that we did. But that was just the start, seeing who are on top of the list and how are they performing. What we also saw is that, yes, there are, as I said, leaders that are able to stand out in this environment and are able to lead here. And the main thing in that is that we wanted to see, okay, what do they do differently? What can we learn from them? Yeah. And how can we use this to inspire and innovate together with our customers again? So that was really the core of the frontrunners, to see what are the leaders doing, and why do they do it, and how do they do it? And then, of course, what can we learn from them?
So what were the criteria that they were judged by? What determines whether you're a front runner or not?
Yeah, so I mean, this is a quite delicate task, and we've had a lot of interaction with our customers about it, and we continue to do it in workshops also after as well. So, comparing DSOs and energy retailers is a quite sensitive matter because, of course, there are local conditions and the regulatory conditions that really, determine what is the leader in a certain market. So we actually did a quite thorough market-by-market assessment on this, but the main criteria that we looked on across, we did it for two groups, one for the DSO, one for the retailers, and the main criteria we looked across for DSOs is that we looked on the OPEX, how much they spend per line, how much they spend line kilometer, how much they spend per gigawatt hour delivered, and how much they spend per customer they have. We also looked on a proxy for how the smart grid has penetrated with this DSO. So we looked on the smart meter penetration for them. And then also, of course, we looked on network reliability, SAIDI numbers that goes across. So all these metrics were we have a detailed database, and those are the ones we analyzed to come out with the leaders. On the energy retailer side, it's a bit simpler because then it's more about the business, really. What are they able to do? And it's not so determined by the regulatory conditions. So there we compared the growth, the sales growth over a number of years, and we also compared the profitability growth as well. So, and sorry if I get excited here, but I think it's something that we're really excited to talk about with our customers, and this is really engaging material that we have here. And of course the criteria is one thing, but what we really saw is that our group of frontrunners in for example, the energy retailers. They were displaying, the ones that were able to lead in this market are displaying 34% better profitability than their peer group, and are growing by 3 times as fast as the other ones. So those were really the criteria that were interesting to us, and then to see what they were doing differently.
Yeah. Did you see a higher penetration of these frontrunners in any particular area? World, region?
So yes and no. I think we were interested to do this on both looking and learning what we can see across the different global regions. But we were also really keen to see what are the leaders in specific markets. So I couldn't say right now, or I don't want to say that we have one market which is leading, because the conditions are all a bit different. But we do see, front runners that are outperforming in every market, basically. And how do they do it? Well, it's a bit of different from market to market. But this is where our keys of excellence comes in, right? So that, if I lead over to that, is that we saw that these front runners, these leaders, were really acting with another purpose, a more proactive and really taking action. Not just talking about the change, but they were really taking action and getting value out of it as well. So for each of the DSOs and for the retailers, we've identified 6 what we call sort of success keys that we call keys of excellence. And these are really traits or patterns that we see were really strong in these front runners. And where we see this is a sort of a map of hotspots where you could see that they were really taking more actions than the peer group, right? So that and that is, I think, where the beauty in this is, where we of course want to use this to engage and see what we can learn together with our customers, what they can learn from this, and which of the keys of excellence do you really need to embrace and work with to succeed in the market. So
I mean, there's a lot of talk here about how regulation is kind of at the moment hindering the development of a modern utility. As opposed to incentivizing or encouraging it. Are you saying some front runners are managing to do this despite a not particularly favourable regulatory environment?
So yes and no. I think we all know that the regulatory conditions really play in there, and I think it's a sort of, what we think in this is that we tend to think about three sort of forces that are drawing on the changes and the disruption and the utilities. And first one, of course, is the regulatory enablement, the framework for that. For us and for everyone else as well, the technology is really important, because that's also enabling the whole thing. But then again, the third thing is also, I think, where even if you have the regulatory and the technology that comes in, and that's of course the customer, the end user. And I think what the front runners were able to do is that you saw that they were, despite the technology possibilities, despite the regulatory constraints, if you will, they were really, of course, identifying what is the value for the customer. And through these 3 forces, they were able to really draw change and this disruption. So I wouldn't say that you disregard the regulations, they're always there, but they were really in this mix able to get these forces acting together.
I mean, if thinking about a utility, what would be your sort of 3 most important pieces of advice if a utility wants to initiate a change program?
That's a very good question, and of course the thing with this is there are no silver bullets, right? What we can learn in this is that it's all about identifying where are your hotspots and how you connect this. But I think it all comes down to action. That's in the end what you do. But again, this action needs to be connected to a broader purpose. You know why you're doing it, and not just doing it because you can, because the technology enables you, or if the regulatory regulations forces you. But you do it because you know you can create value for the customer and for you. So that's, I think, one of the key things, the purpose. And then for us also, of course, being an IT and communications player, we are really, really enthusiastic and eager to work with utilities to get the value out of technology, to see how we can apply this to get value and value for them and for the customer in the end. So I think that's the second thing, really being proactive in taking that on. And then the last thing is also that so the purpose in embracing the change or the technology enablement, but the last thing is also about making sure you really act not just with one piece, but you align your organization to a bigger purpose.
Okay.
And I think that is something, if we talk about innovation, for example, innovation for us is just not something that a group function does. It's something that runs through our company and through our history. And you don't have to do that with everything, but you need to find your hotspots and where you really want, this is our thing that we will drive through the organization, whether it be innovation or customer centricity or whatever it is. So.
Thank you, Erik. We've just got time to kind of touch on what's happening with Ericsson. You said you've had a very busy year.
Yes.
What's your year looking like coming up?
I'm very enthusiastic. I mean, it's early, the third day at European Utility Week. We've basically gone flat out here meeting customers and partners. What we've done this year is that we have now, I mean, we have been very active since many years back with utilities, and we hope that shines through and shows even more. What we've done this year is we've partly been looking internally, but we've been reorganizing our complete company. And now we have an end-to-end organization which is with a dedicated R&D budget for utilities and for other non-telco industries. But we have a dedicated industry practice with expertise within the utility space, and we have dedicated sales teams in all markets running to this. So we really created and gotten all the pieces we think is important together. And something I hope that will shine through is that we're of course we're looking at utilities is one of our 3 focus industries. And at every time, and this is the same we talk to our customers about, we look on how you can work across industries, because it doesn't stop with one silo or one industry. It goes beyond to the ecosystem. And for us that's really super important. With all the communications, the platforms we work with, we work across industries. But so we invest heavily in that, but at the same time we really invest heavily in how do we build relevance and really strong propositions through the utilities. So with all our core markets or core areas within smart metering, where we claim to be one of the global leaders, and that's really important. We are very active in all the utility communications needs, where we have a strong point. Not only cellular, of course, but all the different technologies you have. Yeah. So those are our key strong points. And then from that we're expanding into a number of different areas. And I think something that inspires us and where I think we act very well is the more complex things get, the more challenges there are, the better we get together with our customers. So I think we will act from those pieces, and I hope, I can't promise you or tell you much, but we have some exciting things in the pipeline and together with customers and other things. And I hope we can come back in 1 year and share some more things and maybe look back on the frontrunners again next year.
Great, thank you for joining us. Thanks for your insights.
Thank you.
And remember, you can watch more of the EUW interviews on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.